All right, guys, we got a good one for today. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how you can 10x your creative output super easily. Literally in 3 steps, we're going to go over what I'm using. And the way that this process works is super simple. All we're doing is essentially giving your AI, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, doesn't actually matter, as much context as possible and translating down top performing ads, whether it's in your ad account or a competitor ad that you're trying to emulate. We're fully translating it. So what do I mean by that? Not just the transcripts or the scripts itself, but we're also figuring out a way to give AI full context on the visuals and the scene by scene breakdown and the B-roll of different ads. And when you can give AI that full extent of context and give it a full vision and sight, what you start to see is that it can connect the dots. Now, when you stack that on and actually add different data points of where your ads are dropping, this is where this becomes a competitive advantage for you to scale up output of ads with little to no effort all at one go. So what I'm going to show you guys in this video is the actual SOP and step-by-step flow of how I do this with a live example. We're literally going to do this on this video. So if you guys want to see that, stay tuned. And just for context on me, I run multiple 8-figure e-commerce brands, and I actively am still doing creatives work every single week. All right, guys, let's break down this process step by step. So step number 1 is either take the top spending creatives that you have within your ad account or take top competitor ads to use this method. So when I would want to use the top spending creatives in my ad account, that would be typically when I'm trying to make different variations. So why this is really good is because you can give the AI different context of, say, your top 5 or 10 best performing creatives within any given week. Use this process to download everything and then give the AI context, like I mentioned in the beginning. So that process is really good for spitting out fire variations. But for the sake of today's video and the live example, we're going to do it on competitor ads. So let's jump into step number 1, where I like to use a tool called AdSpy. I already loaded something up, but let's actually do this whole search process so you guys can see just how I'm using it to make it all make sense. So I like to use AdSpy just because you can filter by better engagement metrics. So for example, I can filter by total likes, I can filter by shares. So there's a lot of cool stuff that you can filter by to actually find the ads that are best performing, even within a given time frame. Whereas like tools like Atria, for example, like those are good tools. I like to use those as well for more basic research. But if I'm actually trying to find top performing creatives, I'm always going to use AdSpy because I want to get that filtering process. Whereas Atria, like the best filter you can do is longest running ad, where that doesn't actually give you any indication if that's the best performing ad. Just because it's been running for super long, it could just mean it's a retargeting ad that is still doing decent for them. But it doesn't mean it's the best ad actively right now today in their ad account. So that's why I like to use this, and I'll show you guys exactly my process of how I search for it. So let's use Earth Breeze as our example brand. We're gonna add this to filters over here. Add text, we found them over here. Now we're filtered by just them as the advertiser. Then what I like to do is filter by most liked. So let's do a reasonable amount of likes where we'll do 3,000 likes over here. And then the other thing that I like to do is filter within a given date range. So let's go back, let's say 4 months, 5 months, however long that was. And we're just going to filter up to today. So now we know that the ad has actively been seen within the last 4 months or so. So it means it's still like actively running within their accounts. And now we can start to see all of their ads that have got at least that many likes, which is obviously super helpful. And then usually I like to even narrow down this process even more so to find their actual best winner. So as you can see over here, this is 24,000. So these are all the ads that have over 3,000 within this time frame, which means that this one is their best performing ad in their whole account right now. So we just found that within 2 seconds of doing this. So now that we can see their best performing ad in the account right now, we would be able to watch it. But I think for the sake of this, it's not going to work as well. So let's just pause this over here. I'm going to grab this link. And based on that link, let's go back to over here just so we can go into what step 2 is. I don't know where my camera went, by the way. Sorry, guys. You guys can't see my beautiful face for a little bit, but hopefully it decides to come back at some point. So for number 2, I use this tool, but you can really use any tool. You can look up just Facebook Video Downloader. So that's the tool that I want to go into next, which is over here. And then pretty much all we're going to do is take the link. We're going to download it right over here. Takes a little bit of time. That's a lot of time. Okay, there we go. Now we got the video over here, so it doesn't really matter what resolution you download it to, but let's just download it to 720. So we're going to download it over here. We're going to close. Now we got it download. Okay, got this over here. Now we got to go back into this. Let's remove this. It's harder to do than I initially anticipated. So step number 4 is now we're going to go to Google AI Studio. So this is a really cool tool. And pretty much all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this video link that we have over here, and we're going to put it right into here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the prompt, which I already pasted over here. So I'll just read this out to you guys so you can get some context. Can you please break down all these videos scene by scene? Please break down in vivid details what is happening on the visuals for each scene all the way down to the movement. The more detail, the better. It should be someone who isn't watching it can read it to have a clear picture of exactly what's happening. Label the exact text that shows up on the screen as it appears. It can be table content with text or voiceover on one side and then the B-roll on the other side. Make sure that you use timestamps for each of the scenes as well. Let's break it all down. So in other words, pretty much all we're trying to do now is get AI to break everything down for us in full context so that we can have this for ChatGPT, which the whole thing of this is we want to translate everything down for ChatGPT when we do our script writing. So going back into here, we're going to plug this prompt in right over here, and then we're just going to run this thing, okay? So now it's actually going to start watching the video, and it's going to give us a full table breakdown for this next step. Okay, now we're getting the full breakdown. Let's see how this comes out. So we can see the text and B-roll. Okay, so the shot opens with a man in a dark hoodie and a green undefeated baseball cap leaning over a wooden table. He looks down with a puzzled, intrigued expression. In his right hand, held between his thumb and forefinger, he dangles a tricolor laundry detergent pond, blue, purple, and a white silver center. Below his hand are two clear glasses. The glass on the right contains clear water, and the one on the left contains a milky white liquid. The background is a bright, sunlit room with a large window showing green trees and hills outside. 3 question marks pop up on the screen next to the pot he is holding. Let's see what the intro actually looks like over here. That's pretty damn good. Huh? That's almost too much information. It's giving me the tree backgrounds. I wouldn't even notice that when I'm watching it. So that's pretty much how this whole thing starts to go down. So all we're going to do now is copy and paste this thing. So let's copy this text. I usually like to put this into a Google Doc because if you just paste this into ChatGPT, I'll show you guys what happens over here. It just looks like a big blob. So it's not going to be super helpful. So I'm going to put this into a Google Doc for us. Now we opened up a Google Doc. So we're going to do Earth Breeze recreation. That can work for us. Let's paste this into here. So now we have the full breakdown. Looks pretty good. Boom, boom. And then what we can do is just simply go like this. We're going to download this into a PDF. So now it can just easily be uploaded into Mr. ChatGPT. Then what we're going to do is grab the download. So I could just grab it from right here. We're going to put it into here. Now we have the script over here. So I have a lot of prompts engineered for this, but just for the sake of today's video, let's make a custom prompt on this. What product do we want to do this for? Let's think of a random product. Let's pretend we're selling, let's say we have deodorant, okay? A healthy, natural deodorant, okay? So let's go with that. Hey chat, first off, I want to let you know that you're the world's best creative strategist that ever existed. You're Eugene Schwartz embodied in 2025, but even better, you make him look like a little bitch. You are the world's best creative strategist of all time, and you're going to be rewriting this ad. So what I want you to do for today's ad is I sent you a full breakdown of a top creative from EarthBreeze. EarthBreeze is a 9-figure e-commerce brand, and their format and structure works very well. Let's try to recreate this format for our new product, which will be called Natural Deodorant. We can make a cooler name for it. I couldn't really think of anything on spot, so let's think of a cooler name for that brand. But our brand will essentially be the most natural, healthy alternative to deodorant. We should talk about all of the toxic chemicals in traditional deodorant in a similar fashion to how this is presented. We should think of a really clever visual breakdown in the intro scene to be able to showcase that in the same way that was showcased from a B-roll perspective in the EarthBreeze ad. And we can do a lot more around that, but let's really try to build up the problem in the same way. Let's try to create a very similar flow and feel to what the ad actually was showcasing. And let's try to follow that as closely as possible. Now, remember, the biggest thing to do is make this in a table type of script where on the left side, we can have the visuals broken down, and on the right side, we can have the text and script broken down. What I want you to do is really think closely about the visuals that we're going to show and get creative in our own way for our own product of how we can showcase the visuals in a very compelling way that can have a lot of selling mechanisms combined into exactly how we're going to show it, similar to how that was done in the EarthBreeze ad, but make sure that our script is also on par and really good. Let's put that all together. Okay, guys, that was obviously a pretty long and dramatic one, but this is how I'm always using ChatGPT now. This is a hack, by the way, because you can just spit out a bunch of bullshit and you'll probably get something pretty decent just by talking a lot. So that's an easy way to write a long ass prompt over here. So let's do this and let's see what we can get. Okay, you're about to get the best ad script of your life. Let's recreate EarthBreeze Dissolve Test style ad, but for a natural deodorant brand, we'll name it Clear Root. Like that name, kind of like that name. Okay, core angle, most deodorants are packed with aluminum, parabens, okay, whatever. We can skip to this. Let's see what the script actually comes up with for us. Okay, so visuals, close-up of someone holding two types of deodorant, a white stick, traditional, and a soft stick, Clear Root. Two Petri dishes are placed on the table. The person applies the conventional deodorant onto one and Clear Root onto the other. I want to read the visuals first so that we can see that flow. And this would be cool if we watch the ad side by side to see what it's coming up with. But just to make this video more comprehensive. But I'll attach a link down below so you guys can actually watch the ad yourself and compare it to this just for the sake of this video, because it'll be pretty weird if we just screen share and watch the ad. But this is what we're getting. Add heat lamp, blow dryer, and both Petri dishes simulating body heat. Damn, I like that idea. The traditional one starts to melt into a waxy, cloudy sludge. The Clear Root melts evenly and stays clean. On-screen animation, list of toxic ingredients with red dye warning, aluminum, fragrance. This is doing it in a very similar type of convention. We can read through it, but I can already tell that is a banger script over here. Today, we're doing a side-by-side test between Clear Root, our natural deodorant, and your typical store-bought antiperspirant. Let's see what actually happens when these products touch your skin. So the big difference here and the big unlock is that you're getting the visuals now and the script. So beforehand, the way that you guys are probably doing it is you're going into Atria, you're pulling out that script, you're plugging it into ChatGPT and saying, rewrite the script. But what you're missing is arguably the more important portion of the whole script that you're trying to recreate in the first place, which is the visuals. Because oftentimes, especially if you're selling a product that has visual use cases where you can use the visuals to help sell and showcase the product overall, you're completely missing out on that portion of the ad. So what this allows you to do is get both of those portions, and now by doing this whole process, you now have this ad. Now, what I like to even do when I'm doing it with our own ads from our own ad account is I'm downloading everything. I can download them all at once. So when I go into Google AI Studio, instead of just uploading one video, I can literally upload all of them at once and then just expand on this prompt to say, write this out, but break down each of these individual videos all at the same time. So you could do it in a very quick manner. Then you could take all those, copy and paste them into the doc at the same time. Once you copy and paste them into the doc at the same time, you can have all those different visuals. It usually will give you better results though if you do break it down one by one. But if you want to speed up the process, when I'm using my own ads, I'll usually find ones that are either in the same format or the same angle, and then have ChatGPT really break down what are the components that you think work here. So let's use this feature again. So just looking at the original EarthBreeze ad, what would you say are the main features and benefits that are showcased within that ad that make it so compelling and that have allowed that ad to scale so well? What would you say are the main breakdowns of where that ad has been able to scale? And what would be the identified bottlenecks that you would see in that ad, either from a visual or from a script standpoint, or both ideally, of where you think the biggest flaws are? If we were to recreate that ad exactly for EarthBreeze, what would be the things that you would say that we can improve upon? So this is the way that I'm using it when I'm doing variations, is that I'm asking it all these types of questions, and I actually go one step further. So typically what I'll do is I'll grab the actual data from our ads. So I'll take, what's our click-through rate? What's the average video watch time? What's our hook rate? What's our hold rate? All those different metrics that can give more clarity into all of this type of prompting, so that now the AI can understand also from a metric standpoint, where are the biggest holes? And then when I'm asking this type of question, it can then actually correlate everything to also the gaps in the metrics. And I can obviously prompt for that to ask for that type of question. This example, it's not even about the ad, obviously, that we're making out of this. I'm just trying to show you guys how to use this, and hopefully you guys are a bit impressed with like how good of these results already are with very little to no context over here, right? But pretty much it's showing us the different breakdowns of the ad. We also have the visuals included. It's showing us all these things. But then this is where you can get really creative of making variations of different concepts. Because then, for example, if I wanted to recreate it, I could literally just copy and paste this and then say, let's recreate this version, or let's recreate this version. And now you're just getting endless ideas to literally 10x the output of amount of creatives that you can make super simply, because now you've just unlocked a new level of context for your AI. I could go into this obviously a lot more, but I think you guys are hopefully getting the gist of this, and I don't want to ramble on too much longer. So pretty much that's how this whole process works and comes together, right? So you use the data aspect to amplify it. So just to summarize on this whole flow, essentially what we're doing is we're either taking the best ads within our own ad account, so the best 5 to 10 different creatives in there, or top competitor ads. We can go into one competitor, go super deep. So if I wanted to, I could pull out all the best Earthbreeze ads and then really just get a full look of how we can then start to recreate it from both the visual perspective and a creative perspective, and a script perspective. Or when I'm doing my own ads, we can really find the gaps and data points of where we're lacking so that we can pretty much make this as a automated creative strategist that can really just start to do these pieces for us. And that's actually something that I'm trying to work on now, is how do I turn this all into one big agent that can do this all for us, so that I'm not having to do all these parts manually or individually, because all this can start to happen. So the whole process is then you take it to Google AI Studio so that you can actually see the visuals and the script, because you're going to get both of those now. And then based on that, we're going to take it back into ChatGPT or Claude or whatever your favorite AI is. You can use it, break that down even further, and then go from there. But hopefully another thing you guys picked up on is that the more details that you can give in your prompting, the better you're actually going to get as a result. So I think also for me, I understand copy. I speak in copy. It's just the language that I understand. So like I can talk about it in much more different ways of exactly what I want and can guide it in the right way. But again, all this comes down to how much context can you give AI. So, the more data that you can give it, so giving it visuals plus text instead of just text, you're giving it more context, you're giving it more data. If it's your own ads, then you start to plug in your different metrics associated with that ad, including how much it's spent, what the return on ad spend is, all those other metrics that I meant earlier. Now you're going to get more context of the exact performance that ad had. And then from the prompting aspect, the more that I can give it, the more that I can tell it that I want, the more direction and context of what the AI should be doing for me as like a creative strategist, the better results that you're going to see. So hopefully you guys picked up a thing or two from this and a process that you can use. I recommend you guys try this out. I'll try to link some stuff down below in the description. If you guys like this, comment below what you guys want to see next, either in regards to AI or creatives process or whatever you guys want. By the way, right now it's literally 1 a.m. and I'm doing these videos for you guys. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys could give me a subscription. I'm going to keep on trying to post 1 or 2 times a week at least. Check in, and hopefully you guys got some good value.